All right, welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate y'all coming over. As y'all can see by the title, we're back for more of Mrballen. All right. This man's last words will shock you. Lost episode 13. Appreciate all the love, support. Again, make sure you guys are subscribed to his channel. This is actually on his Mrballen Shorts channel. I think he got like 3 or 4 channels, man. I just want to see the thumbnail look crazy, so I just want to see what's going to happen here. Again, shout out to all the good humans. Appreciate all the love and support. So we ain't gonna waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
Between 1890 and 1963, 695 people were executed in the state of New York. 614 of those executions were carried out via electric chair in one of the most infamous maximum security prisons in the world, called Sing Sing. Sing Sing has long held an almost mythological place in American culture. Many books have been written about the prison and many movies have been set there. Among the notorious people who were put to death there was the serial killer David Berkowitz, better known as the Son of Sam, who killed 6 people and injured another 10. The boss of the infamous Brooklyn gang called Murder Inc., which was responsible for over 20 murders.
That's where Herb Gotti got his record label from. Y'all know Herb. If you don't know Herb Gotti, he, that's what Ashanti and them. Yeah, I remember that.
And the so-called Lonely Hearts Killers, which was Martha Beck and Raymond Fernandez, who during the 1940s and 50s used newspaper ads to lure up to 20 lonely women to their death. But today's story is not about a famous condemned inmate.
What movies? He said movies. If you guys are familiar with this, what movies were filmed here?
20 lonely women to their death. But today's story is not about a famous condemned inmate, it's about a famous picture of one. In the late 1800s, Arthur Mayhew killed a shopkeeper during a botched robbery. His accomplice turned him in order to receive a lesser sentence for himself. Convicted and condemned, Mayhew found himself awaiting execution for a year inside of the Sing Sing death house. During that time, 3 people were executed. Given the layout of the Sing Sing death house, Mayhew would not have seen these 3 executions, but he would have heard them. Radiating out from the death chamber were 6 cells known as the dance hall. This is where the next 6 people scheduled to die waited their turn. These cells were only separated from the death chamber by a thin wall and a small door, neither of which were soundproof. During executions, white sheets were draped over the 5 cells in the dance hall that still contained occupants. From behind these sheets, prisoners could hear the guards come down the hall, open up the door of that 6th cell of the person who's going to be executed. They could hear them being removed from their cell, walk down the hall. They'd hear the death chamber door open and then shut. They would hear the prisoner's last words, if they had any, and then they would hear the clunk of the switch being thrown and then the hum of electricity as it surged. Many times, the executions did not go smoothly, causing the condemned to yell out in agony and pain as the switch is flipped over and over and over again. And as a final torture, the prisoners in the dance hall would hear the sound of the autopsy being performed. New York state law mandated an autopsy be completed immediately after execution. There were rumors floating around the prison that the electric chair didn't always kill the prisoner, that in fact they were just stunned by the time they got to the autopsy table. One doctor's autopsy report in 1951 said he believed the reason autopsies were done right after the execution was not to determine cause of death. It was to ensure they were dead. Because of their proximity to this macabre process, prisoners in the dance hall oftentimes lost their mind waiting to be executed. On March 12, 1897, Arthur Mayhew's wait was up. He woke up at 7:30 that morning after 5 hours of undisturbed sleep. He was going to be second to die that day. When the guard showed up to bring him breakfast, Mayhew apparently looked nervous and he asked the guard, "What's the weather like outside?" And the guard told him it was raining, to which Mayhew said, "Man, that's too bad." Initially, Mayhew refused food, but then later called the guard back over and asked if he could have eggs and coffee. After breakfast, Mayhew's wife and brother showed up and they visited with him until shortly before 10:30, when unexpectedly, the guy who was supposed to be executed ahead of Mayhew Mayhew was informed his sentence had been commuted. And so in full view of Mayhew, this guy is crying tears of joy. He's going to live, and he gets transferred back to general population. And so because that guy's execution was no longer happening, they decided to bump Mayhew's execution up to right then and there. And so they went to his cell, they opened the door, and they told Mayhew's wife and brother it was time for them to leave. As they were walking out, Mayhew was pleading with them to believe him that he was innocent, but neither of them believed him. They knew he was guilty. The guards shut Mayhew's cell and told him he had 45 minutes left. And so while Mayhew kneeled inside of his cell praying loudly, the executioner right across the hall prepped the electric chair. At 11:10 a.m., Mayhew watched the guards as they pinned white sheets in front of the other 5 cells. And then at 11:15, they came to his door. They opened it up and they said, it's time. They walked Mayhew over to the death chamber door. They opened it up. And as soon as Mayhew saw the electric chair for the first time, he panicked and he tried to run away, but there was 5 men that grabbed him and pulled him into the death chamber. And as he's screaming for mercy, they dragged him over to the chair, forced him down, and began putting on his restraints. Initially, when Arthur sat down, he was viciously fighting and trying to get the men off of him. But as they were nearing the end of getting all of his restraints on, he suddenly just went limp, and he had this look of complete resignation on his face. He knew it was over. In the barely 60-second long window of time when the final restraint was placed at 11:16 and when he was pronounced dead at 11:17, a photographer walked out in front of Arthur Mayhew and took this picture. Mayhew's final words were, "Jesus, have mercy on," and his words were cut off by the death-dealing electrical current. So that's going to do it, guys. If you found the secret in today's episode, let us know in the comments what it is and where you found it. So give us the timestamp. And if you're the first to do that, we'll pin you at the top of the comments section. If you enjoy,
I don't know what the brother did, but I'm just saying, like, he had his family visiting, and, you know, you hear someone celebrating because their execution is not going to happen, and then to be informed that it's your time. Whew. Whew. Because you know how they say, like, some people, they commit these crimes and then they show remorse. And then, you know, there's some that don't. Some people just, you know, but, you know, they said he was still pleading his innocence, but they knew. I don't know who the brother was, don't know the case, don't know nothing. I'm just saying, like, they like, hey, it's time. And it's just like, what was that movie, The Green Mile? When I remember when he, just the stuff he was saying, you know, when they were going to put like a something over his face or something. I don't know. I thought it would. Oh, I see what he just said. I get the title now because he has "This man's last words will shock you," which is in all caps. I see what you did there, Mr. Ballin. I see what you did there. Yeah, this was I felt something just when they went to him and like, it's time. And you're like, you think you have more, even though you know it's going to happen, even though you know. But when you thought you had more time, and how he just kind of, how he said he just kind of just accepted it, I guess. Again, appreciate y'all coming over, watching these videos with me. Shout out to the Flannel King, Mr. Ballin. Again, make sure if you guys aren't, subscribe to his channels. He got a lot. Again, for those of you who have seen these videos and are continuing to come over and watch with me, man, you guys are greatly, greatly appreciated. Wow. All right. So that is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out.